Project Management Insights, providing project managers with professional development in the interpersonal skills areas of leadership, team building, and communication. Here we are again for another episode of Project Management Insights. And today I want to talk to you about how to work with external stakeholders who aren't happy. Now, when I had to think about external stakeholders, a couple of key groups came to mind. Firstly, vendors. I mean, we all know that in our roles there are likely to be vendors that we work with, either on the day-to-day basis or specifically as part of our project. And then I guess the other key stakeholders that I thought about were customers. Now, sometimes these people might not have a direct involvement on your project, and yet they might be the people that will take delivery of the outcome of your project. And so there will be an impact on them within the business, which is where you're going to be delivering your project. So just something to think about. So I'm going to be framing what I talk about with these two key external stakeholder groups in mind. Now, the thing is with each of these stakeholders, whoever they might be, they are going to have their own drivers. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about vendors, for example. Vendors are all about revenue for them and you purchasing a service from them. It's all about how they're seen in the environment. It's about them delivering within their own scope and capabilities, if they're providing IT services, as an example, within a specified agreement usually, because your organisation will be paying for a particular service. And so they have their own drivers. Now, if they're unhappy with what's going on in relation to the project, it will most likely be because they believe, think, or see that their drivers are going to be disrupted, upset, turned on their head, however you want to describe it, by your project and what it is that you are asking for from them in relation to your project. Now, I've had an example of this several times where there was a project I was working on where the external client or customer of the organisation was involved, and they really had their own agenda about what they wanted the project to deliver, and yet a lot of it was not possible within the scope of the project that we had actually mapped out as part of the business case. And so they were continually, the key account manager or senior manager that was responsible for the project on their side was continually unhappy because she was wanting more than what was agreed for the project and the project delivery itself. And so this often created problems. And so, as I said, she had a key set of drivers that didn't match the drivers of me and the business that I was working for in terms of delivering the project. So just something to keep in mind that their drivers, these external stakeholders' drivers, will be different, most likely will be different to those of the organisation that you are working for and for where the project is being delivered. And so if you keep that in mind, it will help you to understand why this person is unhappy. Now, the next piece of this puzzle, of course, is assumptions and expectations. You will have already heard me speak about them in a number of different episodes of Project Management Insight, because what I've come to realise is unspoken assumptions and unspoken expectations are the killer of any relationship. And so what is the most valuable thing for you to do? Go and have an open discussion with them and understand fully what their assumptions are, get them documented, and what their unspoken expectations are, and get them documented. Because often, again, you will find there will be a mismatch. You will have a set of assumptions and expectations. They will have a different set of assumptions and expectations. And this is why they're unhappy, because you're not delivering to their set of assumptions and or expectations. We'll clarify it. Become clear. Create a common platform for you to talk from, a platform for you to sit with in terms of the project and what the assumptions and expectations are from both parties. The clearer you are, the easier your life is going to be, and the more likely you are to have happy external stakeholders rather than unhappy external stakeholders. Now, I guess the last thing that I wanted to touch on here, and it might sound a bit crazy if this is the first time you've heard it, but be okay with them not being okay. I think oftentimes we get into this space of thinking that everyone needs to be happy, everyone needs to be comfortable, everyone needs to be okay. Not the case. Reality is, if they're unhappy, and there's ultimately nothing you can do about it because of exactly what you've got defined for your project and the way you're going to deliver it and how it's going to occur, then they're going to be unhappy and they're going to stay unhappy. And so it's no good you getting stressed out and unsettled and making your life more difficult in terms of delivering your project if what you're trying to do is to make them happy, even though it's not actually possible to do that. So be okay with them not being okay. Be okay with them being unhappy. And just remember that they have their own drivers that will be driving the way they're feeling, the way they're thinking, what they're believing, what they're wanting. Find out what they are, because unless you do, life's going to remain difficult. Get those assumptions and expectations clear. Have the conversations about both yours and theirs, expectations and assumptions. Have them documented and agreed upon, and check in often to make sure that they haven't changed or shifted. And then be okay with them not being okay. Ultimately, whatever their problem is and whatever's creating their unhappiness, it will either have an easy solution if you have these conversations, or it won't. And if it won't, then there's nothing that you are able to do about it. So don't create more problems for yourself than you need to have. All right. So another episode of Project Management Insights wrapped up. The things that I've discussed here for external stakeholders, of course, also relates to your internal stakeholders. So keep those in mind when you are working with other areas of the business, if you're in a large organisation, or other sets of stakeholders. They will also have their own drivers, their own assumptions and expectations. And so for any of the stakeholders that you have, these might be valuable tips to clarify what's going on for anyone that's unhappy, that's engaged with your project. All right, till next time. Thank you for listening to this Project Management Insights podcast. Be sure to visit projectmanagementinsight.com and sign up for our monthly newsletter or to receive updates on upcoming training.